Oh, wait. I dropped my phone. Wait, I'm sorry, my waddle hands. I'm sorry. David Furones, ready to join us.
You were right about that. You were right about it.
What was I right about?
You saw it tweeted at you, the Jalen Waddle drops. Yeah,
yeah,
2 weeks ago, we were discussing this. And
it's been going on since last season. It's
Yeah.
been going on. He has too many drops for you. You cannot be an elite receiver if you have that many drops. And he had 2 today. And so the good
3,
thing
actually. I think 3.
Oh, was it 3?
I counted 3. Well, maybe there was one that was a little bit behind him, and you could.
No, that one he should have caught. I saw that one. The one behind. No, he had his
Yeah.
hands on it. No, catch it. No. You
Yeah.
got to catch it, bro. You got to catch it. The
There was one to the
when he
sideline.
dove to catch, that was a hard catch because he was kind of losing his balance, and then he had to dive to make sure he caught that ball. That was an exceptional catch, but that's kind of what you have to do as a wide receiver. Sometimes it's not going to be perfect all the time, but if it's in the vicinity, you got to come up with it, and he didn't. I had 2. If there was, you know what? When I look over the game again, I'll check it out. But
We'll call it 2.5.
Back against Belichick to get 6 wins. How about that? That's a pretty amazing stat. He was tied with a bunch of other quarterbacks at 5. So Tua now is the number 1 quarterback in beating Bill Belichick. How about that?
Man, and every time you ask him, then he will say, well, he's got to give all the credit to the team. And, I mean, really, yeah, you do. These are well-rounded team victories. A lot of them, like Tua said, post-game, they're not runaway victories. So this one, 2 touchdowns, which is a lot in the NFL, but the Patriots hung tough for a lot of it. The Dolphins kept them in the game for a lot of it, and it took that final touchdown drive and throw to an open Waddle, which he did not drop that time, to finally seal it. But yeah, credit to Tua that he continues to deliver against Belichick and the Patriots. That's huge when you have a division opponent that you dominate that way and are always able to beat. Then I think I heard you just say right before I got on, you're 4-4 if you don't sweep the Patriots at this point, and it goes the other way. So
and they're 4-4, and they're 4-4
with a tiebreaker. So. Yeah, I mean, and now his streak of Super Bowl winning head coaches, victories against them, now to 11 straight. He's got another one this week, Andy Reid. So it'll be on the line again.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool to see what's been developing. I'm going to ask you a question, and it's going to, I think, turn some heads and then some eyes, and then get you to think a little bit. Because if you're objective about it, this might be true. Depends on how you look at it. Even with all the injuries, David, and even with the performance last week against the Eagles, which I don't believe defensively was as bad as some people may think it was, especially when you look at a lot of the penalties that weren't called and all that, is this defense getting better?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is a Patriots offense that this defense should do that against, but holding an NFL team to 216 yards, right, it happened. And even this defense, you got Jalen Ramsey back, but you're still not at full strength. You still don't have Xavier Howard opposite him, so just imagine when you have those two, and Javon Holland was out back there at safety, so you should get him back next week if he was so close to playing this week. So, I mean, Mac Jones, he stayed away from Jalen Ramsey all the way up until that interception when Ramsey baited him into that throw. He went for it, and Ramsey went ahead and easily intercepted that pass. When you have him and X on opposite sides, then now all of a sudden, if you're staying away from Ramsey all game, now X is going to get his chances to be that ball hawk on the other side. And then Kader Kohu, all of a sudden, instead of like just 2 games ago, he was the number 1 corner against Philadelphia. Well, now all of a sudden, he's the nickel corner, and he's playing the slot, and he can play with more physicality too, closer to the line of scrimmage. You like that about his game. So it's really exciting to see this Dolphins defense get close to full strength now.
I've kind of felt it. Safed said it. Do you feel the same thing? Because I think Holland is probably coming back next week. I think Connor Williams is going to come back next week. You know, I think X is going to come back next week. I mean, the coach even told you guys that they kind of held Connor back, that worst case scenario, another guard goes down. Connor could have played today. They could have forced it. I almost feel like they were holding some people back because they really want to be as healthy as possible for that Kansas City game next week, knowing that even at not at full strength right now, they can handle the Patriots.
Absolutely, and I know when you're dealing with groin injuries that sometimes you just can't go the full length of whatever time you are trying to put forth that physical stress, that strain. So, I mean, maybe Connor Williams wasn't in a place where he could play a full 4 quarters, 3 hours plus, playing center in the National Football League. So, with that in mind, then that's probably why he was active but not starting. And then Mike McDaniel held him back from that. And then now you're going to have him against the Chiefs. So, that's a strong outlook now that you were able to get through this game without him. Now he's going to be healthier. He's going to get another week, and you should likely have him for this Chiefs game coming up.
I don't know, were you in the locker rooms? Were you able to see Kendall Lamb? I know he came back, but any of the guys, Brandon Jones, David Long, guys that got banged up, were you able to see them at all after the game?
No, today especially, it was just such a big podium day. Tyreek Hill was up there, Jalen Ramsey after his debut, which is what I'm writing about. And Mike McDaniel and Tua were up there as well. So I didn't get my own eyes on them, but we saw Kendall Lamb able to go back into the game. Robert Hunt now, we'll have to monitor him as he exited this game with a hamstring injury. So, but it's just so impressive that all these guys down on the offensive line. It's a credit to Butch Berry, job he's done, and the continuity in this offense that the Dolphins didn't miss too much of a beat. Yeah. I mean, ideally, you want your Teron Armstead, your Connor Williams in there, and Robert Hunt has just been such a rock there. But to be down 4 of your projected starting offensive linemen at a point in this game and only have right tackle Austin Jackson in there from your projected O-line to start the season and not have everything completely collapse on you, then that was impressive.
From much maligned to the horse of your offensive line, meet Austin Jackson, baby. Yeah, huh? Austin Jackson, huh? How the narrative has changed for him, huh? He's gone from bust, terrible, to doing a damn good job at right tackle. And the only guy that has been healthy, knock on wood and everything all year long. I mean, it's a great story for Austin Jackson. And then it's a great story. This is what I was telling fans out there because they were complaining about, worried about the injuries or complaining a little. And it's like, hey, man, at least now you have depth and you have coaches that can coach these guys up because you just said it. You're missing 4 of your 5, and you might be playing third stringers at some of these spots at this point, and yet you're still winning games. And Tua wasn't running for his life or anything. You weren't able to run the ball like you did last time. Okay, that's fine. But you were able to win the game.
Yeah, 4 out of the 5. And then at one of them, like you mentioned, you're down to your third guy because Kendall Lamb goes out. So now Keon Smith momentarily had to be the left tackle. If you thought of that before the season.
That's my boy. Hey, that's my boy.
Yeah.
I talked about him during training camp that I said, didn't I say Keon Smith? I was going, I got to tell you something, man. I thought Keon would make the team like the last guy because when you watched him in training camp, the few times I did, I saw something there. There were moments where he had one-on-ones, and you're like, yo, this guy's all right. You're like, I saw him win one against Jalen Phillips, during training camp that I was like super impressed. I was like, oh, how about that for Keon? Obviously still green. So I wasn't shocked. I wasn't one of the ones that was shocked that he actually made the team because I thought he was showing something.
Yeah, and I think your evaluation is lined up a little with Chris Greer there because he stuck with him on the practice squad those years. He was an undrafted guy that had to develop. And I wrote about Keon when he did make this team as a small school guy that, he had to go through a couple of years of just he wasn't on the team, but he was making practice squads. The organization believed in him, and now you're seeing the fruits of that labor, that development over time that now he can be a guy that, he's one of the last guys on the roster, but he is there, and you're not afraid if you have to go to him.
By the way, I know you're at the stadium, so you're not like I was able to rewind on the iPad. I thought Julian Hill took off on his route, and he was supposed to stop for that interception that Tua threw that was really ugly. I think it was so ugly because Julian Hill kept going, and he was supposed to stop. And there was another play to Julian Hill to the flats. And I think Julian also didn't run the route the right way. And that's why they were completely off because I saw Tua smile after that. And I think it was a smile like, damn, this rookie's still running the wrong routes, not running it the right way, or something like that. I don't know if you saw the same thing in the interception that was supposed to go to Julian Hill.
Yeah, well, the interception, definitely there had to be some miscommunication on that play. Watching it live, a lot of us in the press box were agreeing, yeah, there had to be some miscommunication on the route. And then I'm not sure of that second play you're referring to, but yeah, if there were multiple examples.
He was completely off. Like Tua completely overthrew him, and that tells me, he's throwing to spots. So that means in practice, bro, this is the depth that you're supposed to run because he's precision. Pa, pa, pa. You didn't run your route precision, and that's where the ball sailed completely over. Because Tua's never that off.
Yeah.
Just never that off.
And when it comes to miscommunication between those two, I would imagine that Julian Hill would be at fault over Tua. So yeah, he probably will. If there was a smile revealed on camera with him,
I saw it.
Yeah. And Tua's never going to be one to throw his teammate under the bus.
No.
So probably like, hey, we know what happened there, but let's just set it aside, move on to the next play. So that's another. It's a great thing about Tua as a leader, just the way he'll take in an undrafted rookie, and maybe a lot of quarterbacks would just chew the guy's ear off for running the wrong route and making him look bad. But he knows what it was, they know what it was, and they just move on.
I'll tell you this. I watched 13 play, and if 13 threw an interception because Julian Hill kept running, that second throw would have never happened. Because Marino was never going to look for you again for the rest of the day, bro. He was going to move on to other people that he could count on because he didn't have time for that shit. So, he's cut from a different cloth. All right.
That's a generational difference there. These guys
yeah.
these days,
Yeah, it's a little different. All right, so let's test your gut. What's your gut say about next week? Who is coming back to play for the Kansas City Chiefs that did not play against the New England Patriots today?
Okay, well, let's see. We already hit on a couple. I think Connor Williams will be ready to go next week. Javon Holland, he had already progressed through stages in concussion protocol, so I think he'll be on track to come back. So Teron Armstead now goes into the first week that he is eligible to be designated to return to practice. So I would like to maybe you do give him that practice window if he's ready to go ahead and get out there and practice, but I wouldn't activate him yet. I don't want him to play this one game against the Chiefs. You can rest him and then still have the bye that follows. So that would be the ideal scenario to me. Dolphins wouldn't look at it in that perspective. It's more so just what's best for the team and him and protecting the player. But I think from that perspective as well, then they'll probably end up at that same decision with Armstead.
Okay. Anybody else?
And who else you got for me? So
X.
So X. Yeah, I believe X will also be back. It's 2 weeks in a row now that we have him as a game time decision with the groin injury. I know those linger, take a little bit longer to recover, but I feel like we'll probably see him, and we get to see that Jalen Ramsey X duo for the first time together in a regular season game overseas.
Obviously, you need a little luck. And apparently the Dolphins need a lot of luck because guys are getting injured left and right. But if you do get X back, one of the things I talked about in the pregame show with Ramsey coming back now, I think we're now, and by the way, I think Holland will clear concussion protocol too, I think, this week and come back. Do you think so also?
Yeah, just on the natural progression. It's always a difficult thing to predict, but guys can take longer through certain phases. I mean, Tua last year, 30-something days in concussion protocol? That was on a second concussion in the same season, at least. So different scenarios, but I would think.
So this is what I feel like. We just talked about, and we agreed that the defense is playing better. So I want Dolphin fans to feel good about that. But then I start to see that Ramsey now, and he played well, had an interception and everything. You're going to get X back. And now you have half a year of everybody playing in Fangio's defense now. And it seems to me now that Fangio also has a better feel for the current players that he has, because it looks like the way he is shuffling guys in and out, they're doing a better job of maintaining their responsibilities. And we all thought that the defense would get better as the year goes on. I think this is the sign that we're watching right now. You and I just talked about it. The defense seems to be getting better. And now you got Ramsey back. and now you're going to get X back and probably Holland. I think that changes the look of that defense and what Fangio can do. I think the best of the Dolphin defense hasn't even happened yet. I think the second half here we're going to see. Okay, of course, barring injury, if they stay pretty healthy, I think this defense starts to get much better as the season goes on. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, you had to go through so much without Ramsey, without certain guys. So it's almost like for a weightlifting analogy, when you got 2 plates on there, and then all of a sudden you take one of them off each side. Now all of a sudden it's so much easier to lift. That's what it's going to feel like when you had to do it one way, where it was so much more difficult, and then now Ramsey's back in the fold, and then now you're going to get X. It's just going to feel so much easier after a lot of guys that were forced into the fire then have gotten that experience, and then now some of them, they don't have to play as big of a role, like a Cater Cole, who can be the nickel corner, and he doesn't have to be relied on as like the top guy like he was in Philadelphia.
Exactly.
Same way as with the offensive line, that it's had to go through all these different shuffles and then still remaining consistent for the most part. It's kind of what it's going to feel like for this defense, where they've shuffled around, and you mentioned the substitution patterns. I think Fangio's getting into a rhythm, and then now you're getting your guys back too.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it. All right, what do you got going on in the Sentinel so folks can check you out, David?
Yeah, today I'm covering Jalen Ramsey Day. So his return, the interception that he had, and then just the big Dolphins win to get to 6-2 now going into the Chiefs week, and then grading out the performances on different aspects of the game tomorrow, and then I will be traveling international to Frankfurt starting Monday evening, landing over there Tuesday morning. So ready for a big week over there.
Yep.
You're in the Oktoberfest, huh?
That's right. Well, you're going to Germany. You can have all the beer you want, bro. That's kind of the idea. When you go to Germany, you can drink all the beer you want, my brother.
Yeah.
Follow him on Twitter.
They'll have it in abundance.
Yes, they will. David Furones _ on Twitter. Catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel, and catch him twice a week doing his thing here with our Welt Rheaume Miami Dolphins post-game report. And call Welt Rheaume at 954-966-4646. They're in Hollywood, and they service all throughout South Florida, folks. Even one of our listeners in Orlando hired Welt Rheaume. Bankruptcy, condo damage, criminal defense, business owner claims, commercial litigation, personal injury, homeowner property damage. It's there for you. Welt Rheaume, 954-966-4646. David, thank you, my brother. We'll catch up later in the week.
Sounds good.
Thank you, sir. He will be in Germany. There you go. Our Welt Rheaume Miami Dolphins postgame.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.